This video is about how staff and people involved in making exhibitions and museum interpretation affect what's displayed. So a little bit of background. The average introduction panel to an exhibition is roughly about 150 words. And this panel has to give the overarching theme of the exhibition and give people a general introduction to what's involved. The average object label is around 50 to 60 words, and again, this has to communicate a lot of information about the object. However, the average time a visitor spends reading a text panel or label is about 3 to 5 seconds, meaning in general they only read the first sentence. If it's then something that interests them, they tend to continue to read. However, the vast majority of object labels will either not be read or only the first line on the label will be read. Because of this, we have to often prioritize information. So the first line will be the most important information as deemed by the person writing it, and it'll become less relevant and less important as you work your way down. But again, it's only 50 to 60 words, so considering the vast amounts of information that are probably available about the object, its context, and how it came to be in the collection, a lot of that is going to be left out. Because of this, people have a huge influence over what information is given in museums. The person writing the interpretation will affect what interpretation is there. This can depend on a lot of factors, social, political, and historical ones. So historical influences will be what's actually in the collection, what's available to them to display. Certain objects will have been collected by a museum and certain things won't have been. And what's collected is often very dependent on how that museum was founded. So in the West, a lot of our collections are colonial, and that's obviously had a huge influence on what's been collected. Political issues also are often affecting what's displayed. If a person holds a particular political opinion, it will most likely affect what they write about an object, particularly if it has any political nature. The other object is social. So, for example, a person's background, their religion, their personal beliefs will affect what information they deem as the most important, and therefore is the most likely to make it onto the label. Another thing that affects it is funding. People in the museum sector have to raise money to run the museum, be this by government grant or by ticket sales, and that will affect what's displayed because they're going to display either things that will likely get them government funding and therefore are appealing to the government, or things that will sell tickets. Popular exhibitions tend to make the most money and therefore are the most attractive to the museum to display. So less popular items, less popular objects and less popular themes won't be explored as often by the sector. All of this obviously is affecting the interpretation, and it's important to remember that whilst a museum as an organisation could be considered neutral, it's run by people. It's people that work there, it's people that create exhibitions, and people are not neutral by their very nature. This brings us on to the fact that museums are not neutral areas. Whilst ethically we are expected to remove as much personal bias as we can, it's impossible where any interpretation is required. Any selection of information will be influenced by that person. There's a quote here from a publication called Words Matter that was written by some museums in Amsterdam, highlighting this. Whilst the information we exclude isn't because we don't think it's important, our conscious efforts to be non-biased can only go so far. Some things are embedded in the social structure in which we operate, so we can't ever completely remove ourselves from it. Again, I've got the sources from that were used in this presentation here and a bit of information about myself. I do really recommend, if it's something you're interested in, reading Words Matter. It's available in several languages for free on the Tropen Museum's website, and it deals with language selection, particularly over controversial words. And it really does highlight some of the key phrases that in museology we struggle with and could cause offence, even if we don't consider them to. So that's a really good publication if it's something that interests you.